Well, hello, everybody. Okay, finally, we're get this going. I've been wanting to do this all week, but with one thing or another, it got pushed back. And then I was going to come on yesterday, and every time I went to go live, another member of the community was starting up their lives. And being as we all kind of share some of the same viewers, and I didn't want to interfere with anybody, and I'm much smaller, so I'd like to have a couple of people here, and we'll move forward. So let's see here. Hopefully y'all can hear me. Let me double check. Sound is good. Looks like everything's going well on that end. I'm still getting used to how to use the Restream, because I've used OBS for many years, and I haven't quite figured out how to get OBS and Restream to work together yet. So that is something that I'm hoping to be able to achieve. But here we go. Oh, sounds great. Thank you. So let me say hello. Hello, A1. Good to see you. Zero Jules, Lindsay Lee, Grandma Sherry. Oh, I'm on top chat. Go to live chat. Yeah, make sure you're on live chat. Okay. I think we're just going to go ahead and jump into it. I believe Savage may be coming live later. I heard her say that she may be on the YouTube or possibly Rumble. And Earth may be going live later today. She put a community post. She wasn't quite sure. But one of the things that I wanted to touch on today was the responsibility, again, continuing the same theme, the responsibility that we have as chatters, as viewers, and the responsibility of the platform host, the creator, the podcaster, the streamer. And how there seems to be a complacency in just saying whatever you want. And again, that goes back to the free speech. And I have on here the Crama tourist. And for the purposes of the stream today and what I'm going to discuss, a Crama tourist doesn't necessarily mean a subscriber, but that is anybody that is literally social butterflying between all the live streams and all the comment sections of true crime / Crama, that whole environment. And we see them, if you look, you'll see the same names pop up, or a variation of a name that will pop up, and they say the same things. And it's a lot of the times it's not very nice things. It's beyond trolling. It's an instigation. And they'll be on even on the court TVs, or even what I've taken notice to in the research, again, for the last several months, uh, television programs, just keying in a name that you see in a comment and seeing where else it shows up. You can do that with Google because a lot of these names are associated to a Google account. For them to be able to comment, there's ways to find these comments throughout the system of YouTube. And it is being a tourist, but not the polite tourist, like the tourist that, likes to experience the culture and the atmosphere of where they're at. They're the tourist that likes to go to touristy places to pickpocket or to dine and dash. That's the best way I can equate it. And so what we're going to do is we're going to have a quick presentation, and we're going to go over exactly what slander and libel is. And again, slander is speaking the words, and libel is the written word. Now, where does this all fall in with social media? And there's been a lot of research in it, and there's case law, and there's more cases than I even thought of YouTubers or social media influencers, if you will, that have had charges filed against them for stalking, harassment, online and off, like the online stalking and harassment, which has the cyber put in front of it. And how that ties in is, it seems that there's been a little, I'm not going to say there's a causation or a correlation, but there seems to be a thread that blends them together, which is the comments on the internet, that starts out as a tit for tat, and then next thing you know, you've got somebody going real life. So we're going to discuss just a little bit. I'm going to try to keep this under an hour. That seems to work best for everybody, so they're not taken away from the other things. And then with it being a weekend, I know people want to spend time with their families. So without further ado, how do I do this? Okay. All right. Hopefully y'all stick with me. Let's get into this. Okay. All right. And there we go. And where this might start: defamation is a statement that injures a third party's reputation. The tort of defamation includes both libel, the written statements, and slander, the spoken statements. State common law and statutory law governs defamation actions, and each state varies in their standards for defamation and the potential for damages. Defamation is a tricky area of law, as the lines between stating an opinion versus a fact can be vague. And defamation tests the limits of the First Amendment and the freedom of speech, which again seems to be a common thread right now because of certain lawsuits that are going on. What is a live stream? It's a live transmission. You can take a quick look at this, print it out, screenshot it if you like. One of the things I want to touch on is conjecture: the formation or expression of an opinion or theory without sufficient evidence for proof. That is a lot of what we see going on. It's conjecture. And it's frustrating because it riles up the chats. It riles up the chats, and then before you know it, you've got everybody going in on something. There's also some cases here that if you want to look them up, we'll continue going through here. I apologize, y'all. Restream seems to be going a little bit on the slow side, and I'm not entirely sure. Oh dear. Okay, well, that's loading. Let me see if I can get this. We can do something. Oh, doggone. Okay, y'all, that's going to load. I'm going to go ahead and the slide that should come up will read defamation in the age of social media. In the digital age, social media has become a central hub for personal expression, news dissemination, and public discourse. However, the ease of communications brings with it the increased risk of defamation disputes, where statements made online can lead to significant legal battles. Social media platforms, with their unprecedented reach and speed of information, have become fertile ground for defamation disputes. Statements that might have remained obscure in the past can now go viral in hours, reaching vast audiences and potentially causing significant reputational harm. Defamation involves making a false statement about someone that damaged their reputation. Legal standards for defamation include proving the statement was false, communicated to others, and it resulted in harm. Social media complicates these criteria, blurring the lines between opinion and fact. The casual nature of social media often leads users to make off-the-cuff remarks without considering the potential legal ramification. These platforms amplify statements, making it easier for them to be seen as defamatory. And that's where I was saying about what goes on in the chat. It's important for us to be mindful of what we're saying in the chat and how we may be leading others by encouraging it. And that's not right either, because in the chat it's so immediate. We don't have that 10-second rule, and you can see, well, I'm going to sit on my hands. I'm not, okay, I'm going to zip it or what have you. And that's a form of the 10-second rule, because you don't want to engage in saying things or typing things out that may be misconstrued later or used against you. So we need to be mindful of that. And, okay. Thank you, A1. I do apologize. I don't know why the presentation isn't coming up, but I'm gonna continue to give you the synopsis of what all this is. So it at least will put you in the direction and give you the tools, because as we're going through and watching the live streams of our favorite creators, and they're discussing these cases, you'll have a foundation on what the suits may be based on, and you'll be able to form an opinion that, by this person saying this, is it actually defamatory? And again, it goes back to the intent. It's one thing for someone to say something because they want to be a jerk. It's something entirely if they're saying something with the intent to cause embarrassment, harassment, or to instigate their followers or their audience to dogpile on someone based off these erroneous or inflammatory statements. And I think we're all mature enough here to see that some of the things that are said, they're not said with authority or with facts backing them up. They are simply said to elicit a reaction from the audience. And it's never more evident or obvious when someone says, says something and then backs it up with the, well, that's just my opinion. Okay, come on. That's just being a bitch. And I apologize for the language, but that's what it is. And it's not funny. I mean, it's done with the intent to hurt someone. And that's just wrong. And so here we go. The next slide that should be coming up is, what are the elements of a defamation claim? The elements that must be proved to establish defamation are a publication to one other than the person defamed, a false statement of fact that is understood as A, being of and concerning the plaintiff or the person that it was intended to harm, and tending to harm the reputation of the plaintiff. If the plaintiff is a public figure, he or she must also provide actual malice. Now, we have public figure in the sense that we're all familiar with: celebrities, politicians, newscasters, social media influencers, and influencers in the realm of 1 million plus people wanting to hear their opinions and watch their life or their story, reality TV stars, that type of thing. But then you have the de facto public figure, which is somebody who deliberately, on purpose, puts themselves in front of a camera, in front of the media, to get their word out. And where that's relative or relevant with what within the true crime, that would and possibly does include parents, law enforcement officers, and anybody wanting to come and speak on the behalf of anybody that's been a victim of a crime. When you put yourself out there like that, you now are subject to the scrutiny of the public. Now, that doesn't mean that the public can go out there and rip you to shreds by making false statements or trying to allude to something that isn't real simply to, how do I put this politely, build up a mob against someone. But again, it's the intent. But also you have to understand, was it done within the confines and the context of doing that? So again, these are slippery slopes, and that's why it is so. Oh, hi, Terrell Investigates. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Again, I want to reiterate and apologize that Restream is not presenting the presentation that I had formed. So the presentation I will upload as a standalone video after the stream. So I'm reading you the documentation, and I don't have an active like video type screen for you to watch. I apologize for that. So exactly, A1, there is no need for anyone to be malicious in chat. And it's happening more and more. I mean, I've only been active in the live streaming portion of the true crime Crama environment for about 6 months now. And then within this 6 months, I've seen an escalation of just really poor internet etiquette. I mean, back in the olden days, you had a bit of respect for where you were chatting and everything. So that seems to be lacking too. But then that goes back to what I was discussing a couple, oh gosh, for the last several years, that social media seems to be eroding just kindness and decency among people. Whereas, well, and we see it with these viral videos, these TikTok videos of, people being in a public place and then turning into behaving like animals. If they can do it online, they think they can do it in the real world, and then it happens in the real world, and it perpetuates by it happening online. Hi, Irish Jessie. Thank you for being here, hon. I appreciate it. It becomes a vicious cycle. So it really does. All right. I want to try to keep this flowing here, so I'll keep going back to chat every few moments to look if there's any questions and see any comments going on. Yes, politeness is gone. I agree. I agree. Okay. If the plaintiff is a public figure, he or she must also prove actual malice. Is truth a defense for defamation claims? Yes, absolutely. Truth is the absolute defense in a defamation claim. But keep in mind that truth may be difficult and expensive to prove. Okay. Can my opinion be defamatory? Okay, here we go with this is important. So I'm going to refer you. The source material for this is the Electronic Frontier Foundation. I've worked with them for 12 years now, and I highly recommend, if you want to understand the ins and outs of the internet and how it impacts aspects of our lives, and blogging and vlogging, social media influence, the so-called internet journalist, and that whole area, podcasting. It would be www.eff, that's E Edward F Frank.org, and anything that concerns the internet is there. Laws, upcoming laws, bills, investigations, white papers. Excellent place, an excellent resource for anyone that uses the internet, really. So let me go ahead and put that in the chat for you guys. www.eff.org. Okay. There you go. That should, all right. And then moving forward, can my opinion be defamatory? No, but merely labeling a statement as your opinion does not make it so. No, it does not. Courts look at whether a reasonable reader or listener could understand the statement as asserting a statement of a verifiable fact. This is determined in light of the context of the statement. A few courts have said that statements made in the context of an internet bulletin board or chat room are highly likely to be opinions or hyperbole. But they do look at the remark in the context to see if it's likely to be seen as true. And people, please, please recognize this. Currently, there are cases going on where people have been in chat rooms saying things, or been on a public forum saying things and putting it off as, well, as hyperbole. Well, I'm just being hyperbolic, I'm just hyping up the group, and I didn't really mean anything by it. When you have hundreds and thousands of people seeing these comments, what may have been intended as a slight or a snarky remark, it turns into rumor. It takes a life of its own, and it grows and grows and grows and grows. And if it gets brought back to you, well, now you're going to have to find a way to prove that your intent wasn't that. Likewise, the person that would be claiming the defamation has to prove that what you said did involve an intent to cause harm. So it's very detailed. And on its face, you would think would be black and white, but really it's not. So what is a statement of verifiable fact? A statement of verifiable fact is a statement that conveys a provability false factual assertion, such as someone has committed murder or has cheated on his spouse. To illustrate this point, consider the following excerpt from court documents, Vogel versus Felice, considering the alleged defamatory statement that plaintiffs were a top-ranking dumbass. A statement that the plaintiff is a dumbass, even first among dumbasses, communicates no factual proposition susceptible of proof or repudiation or being able to refute that. It is true that dumb by itself can convey the relatively concrete meaning lacking in intelligence. Even so, depending on context, it may convey a lack of less objectively assayable mental function than of such imponderable and debatable virtues as judgment or wisdom. Here, the defendant did not use dumb in isolation, but as part of the idiomatic phrase dumbass. When applied to a whole human being, the term ass is a general expression of contempt, essentially devoid of factual content. Adding the word dumb merely converts contemptible person to contemptible fool. Plaintiffs were justifiably insulted by the epithet, but they failed entirely to show how it could be found to convey a provable, factual proposition. If the meaning conveyed cannot by its nature be proved false, it cannot support a libel claim. So, again, just because somebody's calling you a jerk doesn't necessarily mean you're a jerk. You can't go and foul on them. Hopefully that makes a little bit of sense. Hey, Earth, thank you. I'm so glad you could make it in. Let me go ahead and get this to you guys. Again, I apologize. I may stumble on some of the words sometimes. I do have a mild speech impediment, and I do try my best. So if my speech does start to become halted, bear with me. I will get the words out, or I will refer. That's why I like to have the slides so you can actually see the words, because although in my head I can pronounce them, they don't always come out properly. So there's that. Okay, let me go ahead and put this here. All right, there you go. There is the source material. Thank you, A1. I appreciate it. And Earth, I am so glad that you could make it. I know you're really busy. Okay, so now we understand what a dumbass is and how you can't see somebody for being called a dumbass. And all right, how do courts look at the context of a statement? For a blog, a court would likely start with the general tenor, setting, and format of the blog, as well as the context of the links through which the user assessed the particular entry. Next, the court would look at the specific context and content of the blog entry, analyzing the extent of figurative or hyperbolic language used and the reasonable expectation of the blog's audience. Okay, and how this relates to the YouTube and what we're seeing taking place within this particular community. Instead of using blog, use channel. And instead of using blogger, use the creator, the host. I'm sure we've all seen that the content that's coming out, if we look at it in context and in its totality, there are, in my opinion, significant grounds for the intent to cause harm and to rile up audiences to go after other creators and chatters, audience members, subscribers, followers. When it reaches the point of the language that's being used and the statements that are being made, allow someone to feel bold enough to search out somebody else's that they have no contact with or no connection with, to search out that person's social media, possibly their professional documentations that are online, such as the LinkedIn, or professional organizations such as Kasagao, Voice, the OJJ, these organizations that typically have their employee base public, their board of directors, their CEOs, all the way down to the person that's the lead supervisor, say for a production line. Their CVs or their little biographies are online with the companies. And again, people, I implore you all. Thanks for popping in, Grandma Sherry. Have I missed anyone? Cash, thanks for being here. SG. SG says there has to be some sort of loss to sue for to be reimbursed, such as loss of job, income, reputation, which has obviously been incurred by the plaintiff. That plays into it as well. While SG has said that, let me go over and bring up one other point, which is the false light claim. And again, your jurisdiction may vary. What is a false light claim? Some states allow people to sue for damages that arise when others place them in a false light. Information presented in a false light is portrayed as factual, but creates a false impression about the plaintiff. An example, a photograph of the plaintiff is in the juxtaposition with an article about abuse allegations, theft, fraud, that type of thing. It's a false light claim, are subject to the constitutional protections. And also, something that people don't seem to recognize either is the importance of the right to seclusion. And what is the right to seclusion, you might add? The intrusion into seclusion occurs when you intrude upon the solitude or seclusion of another person or his private affairs or concerns, if the intrusion would be highly offensive to a reasonable person. It generally comes up in the context of paparazzi photographing celebrities, but covers any reasonable expectation of privacy that is intruded upon. So that's another area that you all may want to research on your own and look at and have a better understanding of it. And people are being very, very silly. Ash Jeeves, it's not advice from a suitably qualified professional. Well, it's what I said. I've said this before in another group that I'm a part of online. the Google professionals, and not as in a Google employee, but I'm a Google expert. I received my expertise by pulling up the first 3 pages of Google, or, well, I have a YouTube education, albeit there is a wealth of information on YouTube, but it's for understanding a particular area of practice. So you can better experience something, or have a better understanding of what somebody's talking about, or if you find yourself in a situation and you don't know where to go, you can get direction. It's a tool, but you shouldn't use what you learn to in an hour to fire up and pop up a live, or to go into a chat and start speaking with authority on a particular topic. And again, all I'm trying to do here is, because I've seen some things that are slightly appear to be a little bit misleading or not in full context, is give you all the tools, give you the resource to go out and research it for yourself if you want to have a better understanding about documents that are being presented on screen. And while something's an active situation, and an active quote unquote case, my opinion is, I don't think it should be ripped apart, because that it's affecting real people in the moment. So how is that not re-victimizing somebody, or turning them into a victim? Because you're taking that private situation and turning it into now a social media topic of discussion. And 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 certain suits are very invasive. That when you become a part of them, there's almost nothing that is not available to scrutiny, but it's available to scrutiny to the people involved, to the attorneys or the judge or the conciliators or arbitrators involved in the situation. It shouldn't be our personal business. And the fact that there's hundreds and in upwards of 1,200 people within a chat, almost giddy with wanting to find out the tittle tattle of about certain situations. It's like, okay, all right, I as they say, I'm reading the room here. Do you want to be a part of it? But again, that that's that social phenomenon where when you get a group of people together, the mob mentality, the herd mentality kicks in, whereas you otherwise would feel icky about delving into that aspect of somebody's life. That ickiness is shed away because the whole group is doing it. And within that, we're off on a tangent, but I think it's important in that aspect that when you get caught up in that, you start typing out things that you may not otherwise type out. Now, when that comes up, that's written. What you've said is out there. And if you said, based on your fervor in that moment, well, see, she's a piece of shit. She's, she's kicking dogs, and how can anybody even want to be around them, and so on. And so you get what I'm saying. We've seen some of the things that have been typed in chats. We've heard what people have said in their streams, or on their podcasts. And oh, I'm locking up, just a moment. A1 Street, typically, in my opinion, lawsuits typically only benefit the attorneys, especially in small claims. SG, normally the one with the most money wins, the one with the nastiest lawyer, and it can go on for years and cost a heck of a lot. It can cost thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands upon tens of thousands of dollars. But again, are we talking a small town claim, or are we talking a trade claim, whereas you're ruining somebody's brand? And again, in the context of the YouTube, people are building brands, and it's convoluted. And think a bag of rice that empty, buy a 1 pound bag of rice, open it and throw it up in the air and see where all those grains land. That is the depth of what's involved when you start going into this type of arena. You pick up each one of those grains of rice and you try to put them back into the bag so it looks nice and neat and you can stack it away. I feel like this whole genre of what's going on has gone so far beyond what it may have started out to be, which was to discuss the missing, to have a better understanding on why crimes happen, just to, as an interest or a curiosity, and to have a coffee hour to discuss your theory. But in active situations, when you're discussing your theories, you have to be so careful and not to accuse. And that leads us into the next aspect of that, which is what is libel per se. When libel is clear on its face without the need for any explanatory matter, it's called libel per se. The following are often found to be libelous per se: a statement that falsely charges any person with a crime, or with having been indicted, convicted, or punished of a crime. We know that has gone on recently. Imputes in him the present existence of an infectious, contagious, or loathsome disease. I believe that's also been stated in some chats about certain creators. Tends directly to injure him in respect to his office, profession, trade, or business, either by imputing to him general disqualification in those respects that the office or other occupation requires, or by imputing something with reference to his office, profession, trade, or business that has a natural tendency to lessen its profits, imputes to him impotence or want of chastity. Of course, context can still matter. If you respond to a post you don't like by getting "Jane, you ignorant hoe," it may imply a want of chastity on Jane's part, but you have a good chance of convincing a court this was mere hyperbole and pulp culture reference, not a false statement of fact. So we have that. Let's see. Okay. Oh yeah, I wanted to speak about before I got off on the squirrel tangent, I was talking about blogs and that type. Where are we at? Did I miss anything? Okay, BHB. I like tangent and rabbit holes. Oh, thank you, Grandma Sherry. Okay, what seems reasonable to an individual and their friends as to when doesn't apply to judge's opinion in a final say. Cash says BHB was not arrested for freedom of speech. She was arrested for being nasty and crossing a line. Exactly. SG says, I've seen lawyers take $5,000 retainer and never return a person's call ever again. Wow, that's egregious. I would speak to another lawyer, because that well, yeah, I believe that. I know in Pennsylvania that would fall under bad faith, uh, a bad faith contract. So yeah, I would look into that for sure. I believe that many make money from rehashing absolute irrelevant shite. That is absolutely true, and that's something else um, I'm going to touch on too. And while we're on the tangent, I'm going to touch on the fact that I absolutely 100% believe that what we're seeing in an almost lawfare situation amongst creators, chatters, viewers, and uh, so on across social media is a way to profit, and not necessarily profit from a lawsuit, but it's to profit off their audience. It's the easiest grift. It's the easiest con. Oh, woe is me. I need your money. Mm. There is so much I could say on that. However, I will leave that for another day. And also, I'm going to use my 10-second rule. But so there, so pay another lawyer to sue the first lawyer costs a fortune. Lawyers don't normally go up against another lawyer. That's SG. I'm not sure where you're at, but actually there is a whole field of lawyering. It's called bad faith. It's a bad faith lawyer. Experts in that, and it is what it is. If you enter into we enter into contracts every day, whether it is with the bank or insurance company for car insurance, if it is with an attorney, if it's with a settlement company, if you're buying a house, anything that you sign your name to, other than, well, even your check, when you sign your name to a check, you're contracting with the bank to provide the funds to the person that you are writing the money to. It's a financial instrument. But bad faith is when you've been wronged, whether it's through your insurance company or in this case with another attorney. You very much can sue them for bad faith, and it is not all, in my experience, again, check with your jurisdiction, is it's predicated on a contingency fee. We're going to go after this person, and now we're going to go after damages, just like it's like a personal injury, but in a contractual sense. And a lot of the bad faith, okay, not a lot, the ones I am familiar with work on a contingency fee. You don't get anything unless that you don't pay them unless they win the case, or you agree on a fee up front that here's this, because lawyers typically they pay all the fees, the filing fees, the expert witness fees, the deposition fees. They pay for that all themselves, and then that's billed to the client at the end of the case. And if you're working on a contingency, well, I'm going to get 30% plus my fees, but the fees aren't like for $250 an hour. The fees are for what they paid out of their own pocket. So yeah, that's a whole other area, like it within civil law, which is the bad faith lawyers, and there are bad faith experts, which typically are are attorneys. And again, I can only speak primarily to the state or the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania because I've not been involved in other jurisdictions outside of the U.S. or outside of the state of Pennsylvania. And I'll leave it there. Hopefully hopefully you understand what I was saying there with that. And if that's something that you've personally been affected by, definitely look. It's called bad faith. I get what SG says, I get what you're saying. One other problem is finding a decent and honest one. It is so stressful to sue. I live 3 hours from Chicago. There are no good attorneys here. I'd have to go 3 hours away. Wow, that's sad. That's really, it is a sad state of affairs. It really is. And because I personally, squirrel moment, a whole nother avenue here is I would really like to see more funding go towards the legal aid funds. I had the opportunity for 22 years to work alongside one of the most selfless attorneys I've ever known in my life. The amount of pro bono work that he did and the amount of people that he made whole again he was an amazing human being. And I wish more were like that. I really do. He led by example, and hopefully, just by some of these presentations I do, I'm giving back. That at least I can put y'all and point you in the right direction to better understand what's going on and where to find the information. I apologize. Just I have to mute here a minute. I'm going to have to blow my nose. Okay. All right. Thank you for letting me go on that tangent. Let me finish this up here. It looks like I'm getting almost to the hour mark here. How do courts look at the context of a statement? I'm going to reiterate this. For a blog, a court would likely start with the general tenor, setting, and format of the blog, as well as the context of the links through which the user accessed the particular entry. Next, the court would look at the specific context and content of the blog entry, analyzing the extent of figurative or hyperbolic reason, language using the reasonable expectation of the blog's audience. Context is critical. For example, it was not libel for ESPN to caption a photo of Evel Knievel proves you're never too old to be a pimp, since it was in context not intended as a criminal accusation, nor was it reasonably susceptible to such a literal interpretation. Ironically, it was most likely intended as a compliment. However, it would be defamatory to falsely assert our dad's a pimp or to accuse your dad of dabbling in the pimptorial arts. This is a real case, but the defendant's son succeeded in a truth defense. So if you want to look that up, Evel Knievel, evil is spelled E-V-E-L, Knievel, K-N-I-E-V-E-L, and ESPN suit. And if you aren't familiar with Evel Knievel was a stuntman that on motorcycles and all kinds of stuff back in the 70s. I saw him perform several times when I lived out in Southern California when I was young, so it was great. The bike guy. Yep, Cash, the bike guy. He did want to pay it forward. And he actually, we're coming up on the 2nd year of his passing, and he actually set up a fund that every year in honor of his birthday, he looks for someone that is struggling, and with whether it be with medical bills, um, funds to pay for child care, or just shy of what's needed to be able to afford to get a uniform for a particular job, or he adds there. He established a fund that every year on his birthday they find one deserving family or individual to bestow upon them a check for X amount of dollars, to try to make their life better in some way, to ease the just to take the pressure off, at least for that moment. And it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. He fought valiantly. He passed of cancer. He fought valiantly. He had just turned 60 years old 6 weeks before he passed. He fought valiantly. He was one of the best things. Crossing paths was one of the best things that the Lord ever did for me, was for us to cross paths. This my best friend. Just my very best friend in the world. So yeah. Oh, darn it, guys. Okay. Moving along. All right. So to tie this all together, here I'm going to put a case out here. It's a $1 million defamation judgment against a YouTuber, and here is the name. Hi, Tiny Dancer. Thank you for coming. Thank you all. Yeah. If I had one wish for the world at large, it would be that everybody in the world would have one person in their life that exemplified the way this individual was, and how he led his life, that everybody would meet somebody like that, and it would enrich them and open their hearts and then their minds to know that you can overcome so much with just a little faith, a little perseverance, and just by being able to listen to somebody, not just hear what they say, but listen, to have that empathy, and just to pay it forward one moment of one little, just to instill that one little bit of kindness, so that the world would be better. And I know that sounds idealistic, but I believe it. I live my life that way. That, as I said before, I'm not going to let the gossipy little bitches get me down. So, but yeah. But let me put, here we go. Did I put that? I'm not sure if I put that in. Here we go. Here is, if you want to research this and get the ins and outs. Okay, there we go. Dan Grader, a YouTube personality renowned for his swift aircraft accident analyses, was recently embroiled in a defamation lawsuit that transcended his typical aviation commentary. He was slated to attend a damages hearing on August 16th, but eyewitnesses Dan McMillan reported Grider's absence. Consequently, Judge John P. Choop mandated Grider to compensate Charles Cook to the tune of $1,081,667, subject to a 5% annual interest. The genesis of this work-related lawsuit dates back 2 years when Grider uploaded videos implying illicit activities at Cook's Texas-based airport. Grider and his legal team defended the contentious videos as expressions of free speech and freedoms of expression within free speech, underscoring their public service nature aimed at averting future plane crashes. However, this defense conveniently sidestepped Grider's direct communications with Cook and his comments on YouTube. Notwithstanding the defense, the judge's previous ruling from June continued to stand, leading to the August 16th verdict of $1,081,667 to be paid to that individual from a YouTuber because of the flippant comments that he made on YouTube. Because you can't start accusing people of illicit activity, which illicit activity also means crimes. You people need to remember this. Think about it. Oh, you're welcome, SG. I try to give you the facts and the information and the data, and I say as factual as it can be, again, because laws change all the time. Like currently, I'm going through the open source law library of Cornell, and I'm already seeing a couple of things from last year that I had been following have already changed. Just already changed. Case law has already changed because it's gone to a higher court. And so when a lot of times if things go to a higher court, what's determined in the higher court or the superior court, that's now how it is. Like yesterday, okay, this is completely made up. Okay, this is completely made up. It is fiction. Yesterday, apples were allowed to be called peaches. The new law was apples were now peaches. Due to a scientific discovery, apples weren't apples, they were peaches. 6 months go down the road, we're calling apples peaches. Peaches and apples are the same thing. Well, somebody decides the Department of Apple Scholarship decided that no, apples are still apples. That's wrong. That's wrong. Well, they take the peach company, the peach researchers to court. This is faulty research, so on and so forth. It goes to court. Well, the research was found to be correct, but because apples have always been apples and the world knows that apples are apples and not peaches, the court says and makes it law that apples are apples, apples aren't peaches anymore. Now, again, this is ridiculous and fictional. However, this is how things change. I could go tomorrow, write something up, go to somebody, challenge them, and take it to court. And that's common law. That's how it goes. But Oh goodness, we're past the hour mark. But if I state Wendy traffics armadillos in exchange for dodo fur, then well, now armadillos carry leprosy, if I'm not mistaken. So you would I'm sure I could do it, but I wouldn't do it myself. I would hire somebody to do it, to say that what you're really saying, the context of what you're saying is that I'm trying to spread leprosy. You see that would be taken out. Could be taken out of context. It could be misconstrued. It could be. So what happened to the armadillo? They're all sitting at the armadillo rescue place, getting ready to get tagged. I don't. But because but you see just how that simple silly thing there, because somebody could twist that to say, because she's selling armadillos or she's trafficking armadillos, her intent is not to get fur, but it's to spread leprosy, or it's just, this is how things get twisted. It's ridiculous. I'd say to the rational human being, it's ridiculous. But to social media and the crazy in the colloquial sense that goes on in chats, you can see how it happens. You can see how it happens. But okay, I'm past the hour mark and I've rambled. So I'm going to throw this. Let me see if I can get this up on screen for you guys. Okay. There we go. All right. Do you guys see that? Okay, you should be seeing a additional resources and source material slide along with the other slides that are there. I'm going to put this into a video format. I'll convert the PDF to a video. That's probably going to take me a day or two to get that done. And I'll upload all the slides with all the references and the citations and the cases that have been involved into a long form video. The video shouldn't last more than 5 minutes. Basically, it'll be all the slides, perhaps either a text to speech narration, or I may do it myself. We'll see. A lot of times I do the narration myself, but when I play it back, there's such a fumbling of the words that I don't want to burden anybody's listening for a lot of ums and ahs and the mushing of certain words, especially with F's and words that have F's, S's, and shins in them, which is the TIONs. That I have, those are been the hardest words for me to articulate and get back into using since my injury. So bear with me on that. It may end up being an AI, but it's not a robotic AI. My son set me up with a very good AI text to speech, where it's very natural flowing. So you guys can take a screenshot of that and check out those resources. And let me see where we're at. Okay. And next time, what we'll be talking about is supposition, assumption, and speculation, which is conjecture. And let me see about going here. Okay. Oh, that worked. Okay. And you can screenshot this as well if you'd like, and have it up. And whenever you start seeing somebody saying something saying something in chat, you can refer to this and you'll have your facts ready for them. I'll also, now, because I don't have, I don't know, the only thing I can figure is because the account's not monetized, I can't put links in my descriptions anymore. I used to be able to have external links in my descriptions of my videos, but now when I put them in, they're not there. They just show up as regular text. So I will put some links in the description, but they'll just be text, so you won't be able to click them. You'll just have to do a copy and paste and put into your browser bar and research further if you would like to. Hopefully this has given you all something to think about and broaden your horizons a little bit. Let me go ahead and just throw up the slides real quick, and you can screen capture, pause if you'd like. There you go. Okay. Cash is asking Jeeves. Back in the day, I loved paperclip. I absolutely loved paperclip. Paperclip was my little companion, and it was just, yeah. I had fun with that. I don't know how long some of y'all have been online, but I've been on the internet since 1988, and which before it was the World Wide Web and everything. I was on Usenet, and we also used email at that time because of where I was employed and whom I worked for at that time. Well, I got on a squirrel moment. What was I going to say? um, oh, the bots. Before we have the bots that we have now, I don't know if anybody remembers. Hi, Mystery. Thank you for coming in. If anyone remembers where you could program like it looked like a robot. You went in and it was a I think, was it a website or a forum? Like I think it was a website, and I want to say it was probably around 2006 or 7. But basically, it was it looked like a robot, but what it was a web crawler, and you put in search terms or things that you were interested in, and it went out and it spidered it. It was a web crawler. It spidered the web for you to amass links and websites and just information, and it was a repository in that robot, so you could activate that robot and it would spit out what you were looking for. I don't know if it's still around or not, but again, it was so long ago. I mean, we're talking 18, almost 20 years ago. In that realm, my robot could still be out there crawling the internet, the interwebs, building some type of monstrosity. I mean, I'll never forget. Oh goodness, I was at a speaking engagement, and one of the younger people. This was several years ago. It was well before the pandemic hit. Had wanted to know, was I real? Because it seemed like, well, you're like a human internet. You know everything. And I said, I don't know everything, but I can always point you in the direction so you can learn everything. So I'm not an encyclopedia. I'm more of the the files at the library. Oh, gosh, the word is escaping me, but yeah, I'm more or less the catalog system at the library is what I said, something similar along those lines. It was funny, but yeah, my brain doesn't sleep. I'm constantly learning new things. Where some people collect stamps, I collected college courses and certifications, and then I needed to gain the experience so I could speak on it. And that comes from when I was younger. Just a small personal story that you can't do this for whatever reason. Well, I never wanted. Don't tell me that. I wanted to be able to do something, so I taught myself and I learned and so on and so forth. And so I tell other people, you have to try. If you don't try, you'll never know. And that led to an incredible career for about 12 years. And then from there, for basically the last 20 plus years, I've volunteered my experience and my skills with other people that do that to help others. So, and that's been rewarding and fulfilling. So I enjoy it. And again, the reason why I want to do these presentations is not to give anybody advice or anything of that nature. It's just to open the door and allow you to at least have the tools to go find the information for yourself, to have a better understanding about what's currently being talked about in the larger channels. And hopefully, hi Chopper, hopefully you found it helpful and everything. So, but yeah, I've gone over my hour mark. So I will see you guys later. And as always, remember to like and subscribe if you haven't. Leave a comment after the live stream. Let me know what you thought, or if there's anything you would like further information on or like me to talk about. And I will try to accommodate you. My channel is eclectic. It's everything from soup to nuts. I will do a lot on conspiracies. I talk about natural healing, a little bit of what some would consider supernatural or paranormal. I believe in the dimensions, but not in a new age form, because I'm very tied to my faith. So, but there's things that our eyes can't see, but that doesn't mean that it's not there, type of thing. Oh, thank you, Chopper. I appreciate it. You all have a great day, and I will again take you out with my favorite. My favorite song.
A bullhorn, bedhorn Betty. Bullhorn Betty got herself in a jam. Oh, bullhorn Betty, fixing to get put up in slam. Oh, bullhorn Betty, a fake press pass. Judge gonna take her down fast. Oh, bullhorn Betty. Betty got herself in a jam. Tennessee judge backing her off to slam. Oh, bullhorn Betty. Oh, bullhorn Betty. Tennessee judge packing her off to slam. Oh.